Welcome to the October 11th Board of Education regular meeting. At this time, I call the meeting to order. Mrs. Petter, please call the roll.
Dr. Hawkins?
Here.
Mrs. Wider?
Here.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Here.
Mrs. Moore?
Here.
Mr. Simons?
Present.
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. It has been moved and second. Mrs. Petter, please call the roll.
Mrs. Wider?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Dr. Hawkins?
Yes. Motion passes. And now, an inspirational message from the Princeton Innovation Center. Mr. Burton.
Thank you, Dr. Hawkins. You know, I'm so repetitive when I say this, but it's true every single time I do, that this is such a great part of the board meeting and really having students present. I'm going to introduce our Princeton Innovation Center principal, Chris Rojas, who's going to kick the program off. She does an amazing job. The students in front of you tonight are so excited and actually embrace innovation. Chris, thank you very much.
Thank you, Board of Education. Thank you, Superintendent Burton. Thank you, administrative staff. Thank you, families. And thank you, students, for being here this evening. Like Superintendent Burton said, I am the principal of the Innovation Center. Our talk tonight is proud of who we are. And I know as the youngest of the 11 schools in the Princeton City School District, we are just getting started. And oftentimes people don't know who we are. So I have some wonderful students today that are going to tell you a little bit about who we are. And instead of me talking, let's hear from them. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to talk a little on the achievements of being able to graduate from high school early. Beginning as early as 7th grade, I knew I wanted to graduate early, and my school let me know that I would be able to take classes for the grade above me. I then realized it meant I wouldn't need to take all subjects when I got to my senior year. From that point on, I worked hard in school and always managed to stay on honor roll. When it became time for me to reach my junior year, my counselor let me know that I would be going to the Innovation Center for my senior year, which would allow me to graduate early. I was able to take only the classes that I needed and nothing more. The teachers and staff there were very helpful even through these hard times. Though we did individual work, there was always someone to help if needed, and I will always appreciate that. This opportunity has led me to graduate way earlier than the intended goal, and I am so grateful. I really appreciate this opportunity to speak in front of all of you. I am Cameron Tillis, and I am Princeton proud.
Recuerdo mi primer día de clase en Innovation Center. Entré a la clase de Miss McDonald's. No conocía a nadie, había pocos estudiantes en esa clase. Lo primero que me dieron fue una hoja en inglés para traducir al español, para poder ver mi nivel de inglés. Pasó el tiempo y me acostumbré a las clases. Había 5 maestros en ese entonces, más Mrs. Ramos, y pocos estudiantes al final del año escolar 2019-2020. En el año 2020 nos la pasamos en clases virtuales con la excepción de los exámenes finales. Era tan diferente porque no aprendíamos casi nada, ya que solo nos manteníamos en la computadora tratando de hacer las asignaciones, pero era difícil entender. Fue un año muy difícil debido a lo poco que entendíamos cómo utilizar la tecnología. Había también estudiantes que llevaban años sin estudiar y algunos que no hablaban ni español ni inglés. Con la ayuda de Mr. Ramos creamos un grupo de apoyo entre los estudiantes para ayudarnos con el trabajo escolar. Los que teníamos más tiempo, aquí nos encargábamos de enseñarles a los nuevos estudiantes cómo hacer acceder y entregar las asignaturas de las clases. Muchos de nosotros tuvimos que trabajar o ayudar a nuestras familias y teníamos tiempo limitado para aprender sobre las clases y desarrollar habilidades de computadora. Lo bueno que teníamos la ayuda de Miss Ramos, incluso si le dimos todas sus canas dentro de un año escolar. Ese año nos otorgó mucha experiencia y la garantía que si le echamos ganas podemos lograr lo que queremos. Este año me ha mostrado lo importante que es interactuar con otras personas para crear una comunidad. Tras varios meses de clases en línea durante la pandemia, pude hacer una conexión con mis compañeros y maestros. Este año logré la misma conexión en tan solo unas semanas. Soy Heidi Gutiérrez González, soy Innovation Center, soy Princeton Pro.
Good evening. I am Profe Rivas, and I'll be translating the students that did their speeches in Spanish. This is a translation by Heidi Gutierrez Gonzalez. I remember my first day of classes at the Innovation Center. I walked into Dr. McDonald Gordon's class, and I didn't know anyone. There were very few students in that class. The first task I received was a sheet in English to translate into Spanish to measure my level of English. Time passed, and I got used to the classes. At school, there were 5 teachers, Mrs. Ramos, and a few students at the end of the 2019-2020 school year. We spent the 2020 school year in virtual classes with the exception of the final exams. It was so different because we learned little, since we spent most of the time in front of the computer. We tried to do the assignments, but it was a difficult task to complete. It was a very difficult year due to how little we understood how to use the technology. There were also students who had not studied for years, and some who spoke neither Spanish nor English that would become lost. With the help of Mr. Ramos, we created a support group among the students to help us with schoolwork. Many of us had to work to help our families, and we had limited time to learn about classes and develop computer skills. Those of us who have spent a little more time here took care of teaching new students how to access, complete, and submit the class assignments. The good thing is that we had the help of Mrs. Ramos, even if we made sure her hair turned gray at the end of the school year. That year gave us a lot of experience and the guarantee that if we put in the effort, we can achieve what we want. This year has shown me how important it is to interact with other people to create a community. After several months of online classes during the pandemic, I was able to make a connection with my classmates and teachers. This year, I made the same connection in just a few weeks. I am Heidi Gutierrez Gonzalez. I am Innovation Center. I am Princeton proud.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. When I got the letter telling me that I was going to Innovation Center due to my lack of credits, I was a little upset that I wouldn't be able with all of my friends in high school for my sophomore year. To me, it was the end of the world. Due to me struggling freshman year with Zoom and COVID-19, that this was some type of punishment for not giving my all. But I was completely wrong. The Innovation Center's whole goal is to help my fellow students and myself to be the best students we can be. The way that we are able to move at a pace that fits us individually is remarkable. I am so glad to have such wonderful teachers that are so understanding, overall really incredible people. Thank you so much, Mrs. Rojas, for picking these handful of students to represent the Innovation Center. I am Livy Young, I am Princeton proud, and go Vikes. Good evening. How many of you have been stuck behind a slow driver, or how many of you have been cut off by someone driving too fast? The pace you go matters. At the Innovation Center, we don't have to worry about that because we are in the driver's seat of our own learning and control our own pace. Many students experience stress from their daily classes. The schedule of 8 to 10 classes a day can be overwhelming. I like the fact that I can focus only on 3 classes a day at the Innovation Center. I feel that I get all my questions answered and I can get all the help I need. We are given information about many different opportunities. I am especially excited about the workforce jobs that pay up to $20 an hour. These jobs can help me save money for college
and a degree in dentistry or law. I am Eve Shockley. I am Princeton proud. Thank you.
How y'all doing today? My speech might be not that good though, so I'm not really sure. But I mean, I can like it though. You feel me?
Good. We're glad you're
Well,
here.
what can I say honestly? I can start this off like a normal student, but you have to be an outcast at times. This year was truly a blessing. All of the teachers that I had this year easily became my favorites because they were all inspiring me. My teachers offered help and encouraged all of their students. I think that was excellent. I'm glad that I had a chance to connect with these teachers because I believe that it'll be helpful in my future. If anyone ever comes to the Innovation Center, just know that the faculty will help you get to where where you're trying to go. I should change that. You can go through life undecided about your path, but the journey is what provokes you to find your passion. I'm Demetrius. Oh, hold on. I messed that up. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry.
Take your time.
You got my nickname on here. I am Michi Arrington. Y'all can call me that. I am Princeton Innovation proud. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Yo comencé a estudiar Center en el 2019, ingresé a los Estados Unidos ese año y esta fue la primera escuela a la que entré.
Para ese tiempo, la escuela ya tenía estudiantes por un año. Había menos de 100 estudiantes y tan solo 5 maestros. Similarmente a este año, había 2 sesiones de clases, una en la mañana y una por la tarde.
Reflexionando en este año escolar, la escuela era un poco triste y desolada. Había muy pocos estudiantes, no teníamos tanto apoyo con el lenguaje y la escuela se sentía afligida.
Cuando llegó la pandemia en el 2020, tuvimos que cambiarnos a clases en línea. Durante ese tiempo no hubo mucho aprendizaje debido a varios factores. Dependiendo de las personas, algunos tuvieron que ayudar en casa, ya sea trabajando o teniendo que cuidar de familiares. Algunos no podían usar la tecnología para las clases y se daban por vencidos.
Este año es diferente, estamos recibiendo clases de inglés y español, tenemos soporte en nuestras clases de matemáticas, ciencias y estudios sociales. También hay más estudiantes y maestros. El venir a la escuela es mejor que trabajar desde casa, ya que estando aquí se aprende más y tenemos acceso a nuestros maestros.
Aquí hemos creado una comunidad en la cual somos estudiantes y somos Innovation Center.
Soy Araceli Mendoza Raimundo.
Y soy Israel Sales Jerónimo.
Soy Princeton Pro.
Okay, we will be translating for Araceli Mendoza Raimundo and Israel Sales Jerónimo. I started my studies at the Innovation Center in 2019. This is the first and only school I have been since I moved to the United States that same year. By 2019, the school had already been operating for a year. There were less than 100 students and only 5 teachers. Similar to this school year, there were 2 class sessions, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. School was a bit sad and bleak during that school year. There were very few students, and we did not have as much support with the language. When the pandemic hit in 2020, we had to switch to online classes. Due to various factors, learning was limited during this time for most of us. Depending on the individual, some had to help out at home, either by working or having to take care of relatives. Some did not have the technology skills necessary for classes, and they gave up. This year is different. We were receiving classes in English and Spanish language acquisition. We had language support in our math, science, and social studies classes. There are also more students and teachers. Coming to school is better than working from home, for one learns more and we have direct access to our teachers. Here, we have created a community in which we are students. We are the Innovation Center. I am Araceli Mendoza Raimundo. I am Israel Sales Jeronimo. I am Princeton proud.
And once again, I'm Kristen Rojas. I am the proud principal of the Innovation Center, and we all are Princeton proud. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we, as a board, are Princeton proud of you, all of you. Thank you again.
Dr. Hawkins, if I
Yes,
could just
sir.
add one thing so to all the students, to Mr. Jepson, Ms. Rojas, thank you so much. Kids, you were phenomenal. I want you guys to hear this, as well as, thank you. But as well as Ms. Rojas, who's in her first full year as principal, and Ms. Jepson, who's in his first full year as assistant principal. The reason why the Innovation Center was created is because of what you saw tonight. It is about meeting the needs of each student. It is about empowering each student for college, career, and life success. That embodies who we are. And honestly, when you hear you guys did such a great job when you're talking about content acceleration. You're talking about accelerating, being able to own your own path, being in the driver's seat, being excited about career. That's really what it is. It would not have happened without the 5 people, 6 with the treasurer, but the 5 board members who voted to make this happen. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome.
You are. Excellent job, as we strive to meet every student where he or she is so that they can thrive in the best possible way. So thank you for that. Next item on our agenda is recognition of visitors. This is the public participation part of our meeting. In order to participate, you must sign in and complete a form. You must be a resident of the district or an employee of the district. You must indicate the subject that you want to address, and you are limited to 3 minutes. Our treasurer will do the timing. The first speaker will be Brian Poole on the subject of representation of the Board of Education. The mic is down here, and you will be facing us.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Board President, Dr. Hawkins, Vice President, Ms. Susan Wider, and all the members here of our wonderful Board of Education, along with our superintendent. The purpose of my coming to the meeting tonight is that I have some concerns. As all of us are aware, the IDEA School out of Texas is saying that they're coming this way. They have found a home in the village of Woodlawn. I want everyone to know on this board that myself as the mayor and my members of council never had the opportunity to vote for such measure. What bothers me the most is that we have misrepresentation from our own school board. When one comes into my meeting and they announce themselves as that person, and then they say that they're a member of the Board of Education, that alarms me. That tells me that that person is coming to my meeting to deliver anything that has been discussed among the board. I find that to be very troubling. You understand that the Woodlawn community is part of the Princeton City School District. We are partners. That's what we are. I am a product of Princeton from K through 12. And if there is not much of a passion behind this district, I don't know which it is. However, that is my concern. Let's be clear. This is just a warning that if we continue to have that type of misrepresentation from our board, then perhaps there's something that I need to do along with the communities here in this Princeton City School District. Lastly, let's not discount and forget that anything that comes across the desk or for the voters in the great village of Woodlawn. There has never been a time, and history will tell you that we pass every levy. Everything that is coming to our community, we support it. I am not, as a mayor, concerned about this outfit coming. Why? Because we are in a great district. You know, I look at the numbers from our elementary. Our elementary schools are doing pretty well. In fact, I'm very fond of what we do at the Woodlawn Elementary School because we make numbers happen, right? The issue becomes, as I was a parent as well, the issue becomes when our kids reach the 6, 7, and 8, those numbers is where we're losing our kids. As I said to the person that came to my meeting, this is a charge to the district. What are we, the Princeton City School Board, along with its leadership and administration, going to do to tackle those issues, perhaps of losing those kids? The other fear that some people share, I don't. Choice Ed has been around for a very long time. It's not our issue, or it is our issue, however, that we are in a challenged district.
3 minutes.
And so with that being said, this is misrepresentation that I do not expect to see again. We are a proud Princeton supporters. Thank you.
Time up. Our next speaker is Janie Summers, talking about school board support for the charter school.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I would like to actually thank the school board for not supporting the idea charter school. I read about the indictment, politics is politics, and you just can't get personal feelings involved, because if you can, then you have to have thick skin. So I thank you all for doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Patricia Colvin about the IDEA school.
Hello, my name is Patricia Colvin, and I want to thank the Princeton School District for not supporting a new educational venture called the IDEA School. The school is based in Texas and targets low-income children, but worse than that is that in May of this year, the CEO and COO were charged with and later indicted for misuse of funds. That's according to the San Antonio report on May 25th, 2021. Your district made a wise decision when you decided not to do business with such an unscrupulous company. This IDEA school is yet another attempt to derail public schools and will lead to low enrollment schools in Lincoln Heights, Woodlawn, and Laughlin. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Judge Nadine Allen on the IDEA school.
Greetings. I wish I could say I'm still a judge, but I retired voluntarily.
Always your honor.
Thank you. I want to, first of all, appreciate you all, because I know all of you, most of you personally, and I know the hard work that you all have done for many years. I'm a resident of Evendale, so for 42 years, I've been a taxpayer for the Princeton School District. And what I appreciate most about Princeton is that we have outstanding fiscal responsibility and a superb reputation for how we handle our funds and what we do for our students. So I'm here to thank you for opposing bringing this school, this IDEA school, anywhere in Princeton, be it Woodlawn or any place else. Not only is it well known that their corporate executive officer, that's what the CEO means, but the COO, the corporate operating officer, were in collusion, apparently, because they've been accused, so we have to be careful. They are charged, but there was a very intensive forensic analysis of their finances, and so they have been charged. You know, they're not there anymore. In 2020, I don't know if anybody noted this, but can our school system afford to pay somebody who's charged with misusing the funds already, misappropriating funds to millions of dollars? But upon his resignation, they paid him $900,000 to just leave. Can we afford to do that for persons who misuse funds in our school district? So I thank you, because not only that, what isn't going to happen probably at any charter school is you're not going to have a Princeton Innovation Program at a school like that. I happen to, as a judge, I presided over a charter school case in which the owners misappropriated funds. And so therefore, part of the analysis of that case was to look at all the charter schools in Hamilton County. I was appalled because the majority of them were failing the students and were so poor and so low that they were about to be decertified. And so we don't want to see that happen again in Princeton. We don't want our students to be lost, caught up. Who's going to compensate the parents of the children who attended Texas, the IDEA schools all those years? That's never going to be accounted for. There's no way to pay them reparations. So I just want to thank you again, and please maintain your position today, and thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. And our final speaker is Teree Richardson. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly.
Good evening, Dr. Burton and Dr. Hawkins and the rest of the board. I'd too like to express my appreciation for the board not supporting the IDEA school. And unlike, the mayor of the village of Woodlawn, I do have some concerns, although from what I know, it's already a done deal and the school is set to open in fall of 2022. Be that as it may, I do think that the school coming into this district for the reasons that have been previously articulated, to pull students, especially from certain neighborhoods, foreshadows some things down the road, some deleterious effects for the district long term. No one can say for sure, of course, with any certainty, what may or may not happen, but I'd like to encourage the board to be proactive and think of ways that you can counter that by encouraging our students, letting our students know what Princeton has to offer. And that hopefully will discourage them from going elsewhere, because we do, as a resident of the district and I'm a Princeton alumnus, I know for a fact that the district has a lot to offer. So I'd like to encourage you to help us to maintain our excellence. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank all of you for your comments, and it's not our practice to respond to that at this particular time. Some have indicated for a written response, and that will be forthcoming from the superintendent's office. Next on our agenda, we have recognitions and presentations. Ohio School Boards Association presentation. Good evening. Welcome. Yes, you may.
Thank you. Really quick, I just really enjoyed those students tonight. Thank you all for doing that. It's so important. Dr. Garland and myself are former high school administrators, so our hearts break about the kids.
Right.
So to see those wonderful children tonight was just, it's a great start to the meeting. So just thank you for that and that continued good work. My name is Mark Bobo, and I serve as the Membership Engagement Consultant for the Ohio School Board Association. And OSBA is honored to serve as your association. We are grateful that you have entrusted us with your board leadership needs for over 66 years. Serving in district leadership at the board level is both an honor and a grave responsibility. This responsibility is placed squarely on the shoulders of men and women who serve on our school boards throughout America. And this responsibility is exemplified by the leaders in this room tonight. So as you continue to serve the community in Princeton City, we want to thank you for your continued dedication and leadership, and thank you for all that you do. The world is indeed changing, and the needs of our students are changing. And the importance of the role of public school board members cannot be emphasized enough, and you play an intricate role in the complex, challenging, and ever-changing process of educating our youth. And we're proud at Ohio School Board Association to be the only public school board association in the state of Ohio. And we believe that the value of our programs and services and advocacy and information make OSBA membership a valuable investment. We want to thank you for your continued confidence in us, and we will always be here to support your efforts. Just as a reminder of some of the things that are available to you with your membership, You have statewide and local training opportunities, legislative advocacy at the local, state, and federal levels, consulting services, award-winning periodicals, and comprehensive information resources at the ready. And on that wise, I do want to welcome each of you to attend OSBA's Capital Conference. We're excited to be back in person November 7th through the 9th at the Greater Columbus Convention Center. There will be learning opportunities geared for board members, administrators, teachers, counselors, and other school staff. And we will have over 450 booths in our trade show for your perusal. And as always, we're excited about our Student Achievement Fair, where students from all over the state will be featured. So again, we want to thank you for your continued dedication to the Princeton City School District. And if there's anything that we can do to be of assistance and support to your work, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We are here for you. And at this time, I'd like to give the balance of my time over to our Deputy Executive Director, Dr. Kathy McFarland.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm like the young lady that always has to bring the mic up a little taller. She'll appreciate it someday. On behalf of the Ohio School Board Association, I'd like to thank you for allowing Mark and I to join you this evening. I'm Kathy McFarland, as Mark said. I'm the Deputy Director at OSBA. And OSBA's mission is to serve Ohio's public school board members and the diverse districts that they represent. As a member-driven association, OSBA's mission would not be accomplished without the work of dedicated members who serve not only their local districts, but as leaders of our association. We realize that being a school board member at times can be a full-time job, and taking on the additional responsibility of serving at the state level is a significant additional commitment. I am here tonight to recognize and thank one of the valued leaders of our association for her service as a member of OSBA's Board of Trustees, Mary Cleveland. Has general charge of the affairs, funds, and property of the association. It has full power to carry out the purposes of the association according to the OSBA Constitution. Mary, we sincerely appreciate your hard work and leadership. Please, can we give Mary another round of applause? I'd like to now present a plaque expressing thanks to the entire Princeton City School Board of Education. We realize that successful state leaders come from successful and supportive school boards. And we would like to thank you for your support of Mary Cleveland and for sharing her with OSBA as she works on behalf of school boards throughout Ohio. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone.
Well, again, we thank you on Mary's behalf. It always makes us all proud when our kids do well and when our board members do well. It reflects well on the whole Princeton Viking Nation, so thank you. Next item, recognition of Adam Sarver as Social Studies Teacher of the Year.
Yes, and I know Kathy, Mark, you guys have a lot going on, but I really wanted you to hear from this next young man who's been a tireless advocate. That's you, Jim. A tireless advocate. He's testified in the state for the right thing to do He's written testimony. He's actually been at the state capitol fighting the good fight. He's the president of the Ohio Council of Social Studies, the Teacher of Social Studies. Thank you. And Jim is actually going to introduce Adam. He's the president. Let's give him a big round of applause. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Board of Education. It's probably just a good time for me to just say thank you to Princeton. Remember getting hired is my first choice out of college. You know, Princeton was big. I went to Reading High School, and it was small. And Princeton was just big. You played them in sports, and they always looked bigger and stronger and better. And they were bigger, stronger, and better. So getting hired, Princeton has allowed so much growth with diversity and opportunities. And I just want to say to all of you and past board members, thank you for professional development. Thank you for always supporting leadership initiatives. Thank you for providing programs to students. When it's time to, can we make mock trial a class? You said yes. When it's time to add geography as a semester elective, you said yes. When it's time to promote AP courses for all students, you said yes. So it's my chance to say thank you for allowing myself to grow as a person, as a teacher, and hopefully and I know that's allowed me to move on to leadership positions. The Ohio Council for the Social Studies recognizes Teachers of the Year, both in secondary, middle school, and elementary school. This year we had several nominations at all levels, and at the middle school level, Miss Gretchen Tash submitted a wonderful letter of recommendation for Adam. And once we did some investigation of Mr. Sarver, we found out that he was going to be a strong candidate for this award. More importantly, when we found out from students what a great person he is, a great teacher that he is, he ended up winning this award. So it's my proud honor to congratulate Adam as the 2021 Ohio Council for the Social Studies Middle School Teacher of the Year.
Thank you, Jim. And Mark and Kathy, I just wanted you to know that, like, I know you do so much advocacy work, right? And you represent school boards across the state. You have somebody right here who gives tirelessly, who does it, and then you're recognizing this young man to my right, who probably is the most embarrassed person in this room right now, who, on top of all of this recognition, last month, we filmed Adam. So if you want to know a little bit more about Adam and the great work he does for the great students of Princeton, tune in to ICRC, our great partners in public television. We appreciate all their support. And Adam, if you could stand right there, we're going to get a picture with everybody. Tricia, if we can grab that picture, thank you.
This Saturday is the Ohio Council for Social Studies Conference. Adam's going to receive a State of Ohio plaque and also a personal check for $100.
Wow.
And it hasn't stopped there. Next recognition from Dr. Jody Stevens.
Thank you, Dr. Hawkins. Well, Jody Stevens presented last year at the Ohio Middle Level Conference, and I remember sitting in her presentation, and everybody there was so fascinated by the depth of knowledge, that what you did, the student engagement and making sure that learning came alive. And so many times, as Dr. Maxim knows this too, as both the principal of Adam, but also Jody, is that people sometimes confuse like lessons that come alive with just having fun. You can have fun, but learning is what matters most. And that embodies who Jody is. We should be so very proud that she was recognized as Ohio Middle Level Regional Award winner for Southwestern Conference. Jody, if you can come on up here. Thank you.
And next, recognition of our advanced placement scholars.
All right, so the teachers just got recognized. Let's just be honest. It's about the kids. We all know that it always has been, always will be. And you know, when we talk about the great academic program, we talk about what's offered at the high school level and middle school level, we offer a plethora of classes that are going to challenge the unique needs that we all possess, that students possess each and every day. So these next students are being recognized as advanced placement scholars. It is my pleasure to call each and every one of them up. When they come up, if you could stand right in front of the Board of Education, and we're going to give you your certificates after I call you. Dia Patel. Annette Strickland. Molly Cannon. Mary Kimball. Nicholas Cole Walker. And Paul Wilson. Now, I'm going to give you your certificates in a second, but I think when you look at academic standing, I'm going to roll right to the next portion of this, if that's okay, Dr. Hawkins? Mm-hmm. So the next one is recognizing students for being named Advanced Placement Scholar with Honors. You know, these two students who I know quite well, and I know David, I'm going to give you, two awards here. So David Trin, okay, don't worry about it, David. Just stay right there, because I know you're going to come right up again. So transition next one. This is for two students who are receiving commended ranking on the PSAT test. This, again, is scoring at some of the highest percentage you could possibly score across the country. And we're so very proud of them, and they work so hard. I know mom's here, other people, dad's here, other people, but the reality is they're great scholars, but they're way better people. They're just tremendous people. Ian Weiskup and David Trin. Okay, so as the Board of Education sits down, I just want you, if you could, just raise your hand if you participate in at least one other activity other than being a great student. Keep your hand raised now. Raise your hand a little bit higher if you do 3 or more. I want you guys all to see this. Multiple talent. It's not just academics. They do so much. You have people on the chess club, people on the academic challenge, people that are performing in symphonic orchestra. You have athletes. You have people that are going to try to qualify to get into the highest music conservatories in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, it is much more than just academics. Thank you. You guys can raise your hands. This is a great group of students that represent a great group of students. Thank you.
And that your next presentation.
For the students, I know you guys obviously are taking rigorous classes, very difficult. You guys can leave or stay for the next 3 hours. You guys choose. That was a quick decision, Annette. That was very quick. Thank you, Mark and Kathy, for staying too. I know you have a lot going on. Just really appreciate the support. Thank you. Thank you.
And as you said, it is about the students, and so it makes us feel really good to be able to have these recognitions. Thank you. All right. As we continue with our agenda, the next item is the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented. Second.
It has been moved in second. Mrs. Petter, please call the roll.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Simons? Dr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Weider?
Yes.
And the motion passes. Next item, district business. Approval of resolution to proclaim October 18th through the 22nd as National School Bus Safety Week.
I move to approve the resolution to proclaim October 18th through 22nd, 2021 as National School Bus Safety Week in the Princeton City School District as presented. Second.
It has been moved in second.
Yes, I would just like to ask John Freaky, who's our Director of Operations, to come up and just share the proclamation.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Whereas the members of the Princeton Board of Education wish to proclaim the week of October 18th through the 22nd, 2021 as National School Bus Safety Week in Princeton City School District. And whereas school bus safety is an American tradition. And whereas we are proud of the drivers who put safety first. And whereas we recognize that community knowledge and support is needed in our effort to provide safe transport of students. And whereas we know that safety depends partly on the continued education of partners, community, and students on safety needs. And whereas our nation is celebrating the week of October 18th through the 22nd, 2021, is National School Bus Safety Week with the theme, Be Safe, Know the Danger Zone.
And if I could add, Mr. Freaky, too, you know, we're proud partners of First Student, and we know that right now we're not unlike many other school districts across this country that every once in a while deal with bus driver shortage. Can you just talk very quickly about the partnerships and how hard they work to make sure that our students get from home here safely, as well as what they've done to kind of help mitigate the sub shortage?
Yeah, so some of the things that we've done is First Student has good partnerships with our other branches, so they pull drivers from their Dayton branch, also the Cincinnati Public branch. They pull drivers from wherever they can get them. We've had all of our office staff and our techs at sometimes driving. So they've pulled every available staff to get our kids to school. And one of the things that was on the consent agenda was a contract addendum with UTS, which provides van transportation for our students, but that addendum is to provide pricing for subs on an as-needed basis, as well as charter buses, so we can get the kids where they gotta go. So, you know, when it comes to getting kids to school, it's all hands on deck.
Thank you, Mr. Fickey.
Sure. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Princeton Board of Education does proclaim the week of October 18th, 2021 as National School Bus Safety Week, the Princeton City School, and encourages the observance of the special time by the cities and villages, as well as the parents and residents of the school district to support the safety of our children. This resolution was passed this 11th day of October in the year 2021. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent, yes. Mrs. Petter, please call the roll.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Dr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Wider?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland? Yes.
And the motion passes. We know that our students are important, and getting them here is important as well, so thank you for that. Next item, approval of the September 2021 financial reports.
I move to approve the September 2021 financial reports as presented.
Second.
It has been moved in second. Mrs. Petter, would you like to comment?
Of course. Just briefly. So this is the financial report for September. The board has their monthly report attached. All financial settlements for our real estate are entered Butler, Warren, and Hamilton counties. We still are waiting on homestead and rollback reimbursement from the state for both Butler and Warren counties, but the bulk of our half revenue for property taxes is already on the books. The state funding is coming in. We have to remember this is an estimate because the formula has not been completed at the state. We received news last week that this will not happen in October or November, but the new target is December. So they have made estimates and projections. We should see the formula in December. So, and at that time they will true up. Okay. So if they gave us more than we should have had, they'll take it away. If we should receive more, they will give it to us at that time. Okay. So we'll look forward to seeing that. You do see on the all other revenue, I wanted to point out, you're seeing a decrease in that amount. That is from the state funding formula. So we're not getting the tuitions that we used to get from other districts because that money goes directly to districts now, as we are not paying out those tuitions. So you'll see expenses go down in that area. So we just have a new formula to get used to. I wanted to let you know that the PUP revenue came in higher. Now, we don't have a lot of control over this. The state sets these rates, and we get the money. But it was $1 million more so far. So that is some good news. Utilities are doing well right now. So we'll hope that we can continue to see that revenue at least stable or maybe moving up a little more. We'll talk about the forecast at the next board meeting. So we're truing up some of these numbers, and specifically what you'll see is the truing up of the cash flow. So the numbers will make a little more sense as we move through the rest of the fiscal year when we're looking at that. One item on the state funding to also remember too is student wellness and success funds, which 2 years ago had been moved out of general fund, is coming back into general fund. So that revenue is coming back in as a part of the funding formula, and so those expenses will follow that revenue. So we'll see an increase in expenses, but that's covered by the revenue. So just some things we'll have to get used to as we look at our finances in adjusting to that new funding formula. So.
All right. Are there any
But good news for the district on the whole. I gave you the latest update on the grants from the ESSER, the CRF, the broadband, everything. 2 grants are final and closed out. Yay! But we're adding more, so there's still plenty of work to be done and some good money for the district to use to support our students. So
great. Any questions or comments? Thank you for that. Will you please call the roll?
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Dr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Wider?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
The motion passes. Next item is 2022 dental rates.
I move to approve the final 2022 medical and dental rates.
Second.
Has been moved in second. Any explanation there?
Good news, 0% on hold for the plan with no plan changes, and this is phenomenal at this time. Other districts, other companies are not seeing flat rates on their medical and dental, as well as no plan changes. So this is great news for our staff and for the district's bottom line. So.
Okay, great. Mrs. Petter, please call the roll.
Dr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Wider?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Motion passes. Next item, approval of agreement with First Student for Wi-Fi.
I move to approve the agreement with First Student for Wi-Fi waiver as presented.
Second. It has been moved in second. Are there any additional comments on that?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank First Student for allowing this to happen. This is yet another, to me, staple in what we say when we're trying to create equitable opportunities for our students. So many times our students, despite our great effort, sometimes are on school bus 25, 30, 45 minutes. We try not to go over 45 minutes, but the reality is that's a great time to get stuff done. And so the students really have an opportunity to log in there. And this waiver is just basically saying that if anything were to happen, that we wouldn't hold First Student accountable. This falls underneath our acceptable use policy, and the students know that. So when we get completely up and running, the students will have connectivity at school, on the bus, at home. No matter where they are, they're going to have connectivity until they leave home and they may go some other place. But the reality is that's a large chunk of the day, and that's fantastic. And I want to personally thank Chris Lockhart for being so dogged making this happen. So thank you, Chris.
All right, it's a tremendous advantage for our students, so yes, thank you for that. Mrs. Petter?
Wait.
Oh, I'm sorry, questions?
So this does not increase our legal exposure at all, is that correct?
No, we're covered under our policies right now.
The board attorney wrote the waiver, so you're covered.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Mrs. Petter, call the roll.
Mrs. Wider?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Dr. Hawkins?
Yes. Motion passes. Next item, approval of contract with Garland Roofing.
I move to approve the contract with Garland Roofing for roofing services at Stewart Elementary.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Any comments on that?
Yeah, I'm going to ask John Fricke to come back up,
Okay.
our Director of Operations. And while John walks up here, we have worked tirelessly. Chris Petter has done a phenomenal job. John Fricke on our capital plan, our capital improvement plan. This is in conjunction with, again, a lot of great work, a lot of vetting, vendors, and so forth. So, Mr. Fricke, if you could talk just a little bit about the plan that we have, the roof replacement plan, and then maybe talk about why Garland.
Okay, so this is our part of our 5-year capital plan, as Mr. Burton explained. The Stewart roof was the next priority on our list of roofing assets that we have to protect. It's one of those things where we kind of look at our elementaries as being sort of new, but we're reaching that 15-year marker where things are starting to age, and taking care of them has become a priority. And the best thing that we can do is to maintain them so that we can increase the longevity of the roofs. Garner's been a partner of ours for quite some time. We've done a lot of work with them through the large project that we did at Glendale, which was very complicated with the roofing system that was there and the good copper gutters and all of that. So they've been a great partner of ours, saved our district a lot of money over the years and done great work for us. This particular contract is for Stewart. It's to do the flat roofing, which is just a portion of the roof over there. The shingle roof part is in good shape. So what we're going to do is take the flat roof, and we're going to do all the repairs on the flat roof. We'll pressure wash it and then put a liquid applied coating on it. And then in addition to that, where the brick meets the roofing, they'll do all the masonry expansion joints and fix all of those, because over time what happens is things start to shrink and expand, and it leaves that gap for things to get into the joint. So that will all be done in this project. That will extend that life of that roof approximately 20 extra years. So it's a good time to do that. The contract is done through cooperative pricing, so all the bidding's been done for us, so we're getting the best price we can get.
Excellent. All right, thanks. Any questions, comments? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Petter, call the roll, please.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Dr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Wyder?
Yes.
Motion passes. Next item, approval of agreement with Gale Healthcare Solutions.
I move to approve the agreement with Gale Healthcare Solutions as presented.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion on that? Or elaboration? No questions?
No other discussion on this? No.
This is for our, it's a particular student group, right?
This is for the
Healthcare
nurse
staff.
staffing. Is there a question that the board had specifically about the contract?
No?
I do.
Okay.
Okay.
What's your question?
Well, the question is, do we not have any homegrown or local vendors rather than Florida? Now, it may be a simpleton question, but when I did my own research in the staffing industry, there seem to be several here. Now, if they have a particular expertise that we need, so that's why I bring this question up.
Sure. I would call Dr. Phillips up, our Associate Superintendent, to answer that question and any others that the board may have. Thank you, Dr. Phillips.
Didn't hear the questions exactly, so why this particular, I'm sorry, what was your question again?
What makes them different than everyone else?
Okay, why
It
this
might be
particular
1,000 miles closer.
vendor?
I know we're only a phone call away, but.
Okay. Dr. Phillips?
Yes. Healthcare staffing is going to be used for our nurses.
Mhm.
We have a difficult time finding sub-nurses for our schools, and because we have very medically fragile kids in most of our schools now that either need some kind of treatment or medication, et cetera, there's a need for a sub-nurse to be a part of that. So we contract with Gale Health Staffing along with another health staffing service, because sometime when we call one, we can't get any nurses. So we need to be able to have an additional place where we could go to see if we could get nurses to support our kids when our nurses are sick. So that's the reason why we're using that particular service, so that we could have it's kind of a backup. And it has, you know, we know that is going to help us. Most of the time we can't find nurses if we don't have that additional support. Okay?
Thank you for that.
And in the midst of COVID and pandemic, it's so good that you're planning ahead in case there's a problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Phillips. And, this is something that, it's not only nurses, it's substitute teachers, it's bus drivers, really making sure, and so, we could wait until something happens, or else we could try to handle that on the front end. So thank you, Dr. Phillips.
That's good.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Mrs. Petter, please call the roll.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Dr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Wyder?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
The motion passes. Under discussion, we've had our first reading of the Princeton Review and Provision of Policies from the Fall Board Update. And I trust no one has any questions on that. We've already looked at that in great detail. And so none on that, then we have our academic update.
Thank you. I'm going to call Ms. Ladora Hill up here. And before she starts, I just want to say this, that I really appreciate the board wanting and valuing these updates. That doesn't always happen, and not to kick any other boards under the bus, but so many boards just want to get in and out of board meetings, and so I value this. Our team has worked exceptionally hard on each one of these reports. This is no different than the other ones. Just to let you know, to make sure that there's the best representation possible. There was a meeting on Friday, I think on Wednesday, on Tuesday, and really going over and making sure that we bring salient points to you, accurate, transparent information to let you know where we are. So, Ladora?
Good evening, Mr. Burton. Good evening, board members. Thank you for having me here tonight to share our academic update for elementary students. What an inspirational evening tonight all around to honor board members and our students. So I'm excited to share what's happening down with the elementary students. So our theme falls nicely into see students grow, see students shine, and a pathway to proficiency. The next slide is just an overview of what the presentation that I will share with you this evening. So based on our strategic plan, academic achievement plan, and one plan alignment, which we're all aware of, just a quick summary of what this plan looks like and the actions that we're going to take as a team. Implementing and monitoring with fidelity instruction that are aligned to our standards. Monitoring common assessments, quality assessments, and really looking at evidence-based strategies and high yields impact and how we're going to make that work for our students. And also honoring professional development. That is really, really key for our administrative staff and for our parents and for our teachers to be able to understand and implement everything with fidelity. And all students will meet with achievement and look at those growth targets in literacy and math. And again, how we're going to meet those goals by looking at evidence-based impact instructional strategies and really looking at the data from our subgroups and how we can individualize learning for each student. So as we look at our fall iReady projected proficiency in reading, our iReady assessments are diagnostic online assessments, and basically it gives us a baseline profile and projection of what our students are capable of doing and meeting them where they're at this time. Then you take that data, look at that data, put in strategies, and then monitor their proficiency, also with aligned strategies and resource-based and research-based materials and instructional strategies as well. So if we look at the fall proficiency for our students in reading, there is a grid here. So the green indicates an improved score from the spring OST. Yellow indicates a decrease by 5% or less. And then red indicates a decrease in proficiency by 5% or more. And then the white indicates no change in projection for our 5th graders. So if we look at the 3rd grade projection, those are our current 3rd graders who were 2nd graders last year, so we don't have any comparative data. So that is strictly iReady data to project the proficiency of how our students will do in 3rd grade. When we look at 4th grade and we look at 5th grade, we do see some areas that are green, some areas that we're projected to do better in, and some areas that we have some growth that we need to make for all of our students. The next slide is the fall iReady proficiency for our students in math. Again, the same concept applies. 3rd grade, again, that is data currently for our current 3rd graders who were 2nd graders last year. Again, when we look at the proficiency, projected proficiency for our students compared to how they did on the OST in the spring of last year, this is showing us that they overall are projected to do better again. In some of those areas, our subgroups are projected to do better, and then there are some gaps that we need to work on and address in our plan as we move forward with our action steps. The next slide I'd like to talk about is reflective practices and collaborative conversations. The reflective practices, I'm not going to read this entire slide, but this is something that we truly believe in, and I'm actually participating and working through these types of questions with our students, our teams, our coaches, our principals, and it's great to see the collaboration. And then just asking ourselves simply, how are my students performing? what instructional needs do they have, and how do we meet those needs? And then the other piece that's important is to really take that data to say, what are the bright spots? What are areas that we're really good in, and what are areas that we need improvement in? And these are great questions that continue to make sure that we're all on the same page and we're aligned and focused on kids. And how can I group my students? That's a really big, important factor for personalized learning. And looking at the data helps drive that decision on how we place students, what kind of instruction do we give them, and how do we progress monitor them. And again, using evidence-based instructional strategies and resources by making sure that we have the best practices and the best resources for our students to make those gains. And the last question again is really important, that professional development and really investing in our teachers and high quality professional development with fidelity is really going to help make that impact. Collaborative conversations, these are great, definitely enjoying these collaborative conversations, and there's a variety of ways that we have collaborative conversations around student data and student needs. Our district leadership team having department and grade level meetings, teacher-based teams, meetings, and having our parents a part of that. And then when we have these meetings are focused conversations with specific agendas that are really going to drive the discussion and maximize the time that we need to really focus on our students. So as we review those reports again inform our instruction, and then instructional grouping, personalized instruction, and then again, we do have to take some time to celebrate the successes of our students and our staff, one meeting at a time. In our area of focus, so again, we all want to close the achievement gap that exists between our subgroups in reading and math. That is a district goal, that is a state focus, and that is a focus for all of us who put kids first. We really want to see all of our students succeed at a level that they're able to succeed at. Improving, again, the math and reading proficiency in not just kindergarten, but our pre-K students as well. We need to not forget our pre-K students and that path to proficiency. And then providing and participating in high-quality professional development using our core programs of our iReady and our SFA programs as well. So our action steps, what will we all do to continue this path to proficiency? We're going to continue to follow the academic achievement plan, participating in instructional rounds. Those have been really great. We participated in some today, and we're able to get into classrooms, and just very proud of what's happening as a team for us to really look at what's happening in classrooms and have those discussions. Focusing again on instructional strategies, monitoring student progress, and again, that personalized instruction, I love that word because that just stands out for each student and how we make that impact, and continuing to partner with our families. Thank you.
So just one question. So the collaborative conversations, are those on a schedule, or do they just happen at certain times?
No, they're strategically scheduled. I'm learning that very quickly to get the calendar, get those dates out there. So they're scheduled ahead of time with the different teams. Calendars are shared in terms of making sure we have the right people at the table to make those informative decisions for our students.
Okay, thank you.
And maybe I missed it. How much do the principal walkthroughs play in to this?
In terms of the principal's
Well, I mean, I can tell you from my past life, I had a really good principal, but he would ask the kids, for instance, what's your goal in reading or what's your goal in math, and they'd just rattle back whatever. And he got them to the point where they would put it into their own words, and then they'd think about it, and he'd say, well, what did you do that helped you reach your goal? Did you do anything that didn't help you reach your goal? And that was one of the best teaching tools, I'm here to tell you.
Right. Our principals are very, very active in data meetings and attending those meetings, 3 times a week or even more, and actually participating in those instructional rounds and being part of those conversations. So I'm excited to continue to partner with our principals who are doing a fabulous job, I must say, in terms of, leading staff.
Thank you.
Ladora, we live in the land of acronyms, and I know when you said DOK, when you put in that presentation, is depth of knowledge. But just for the board, this is a critical component of our increased academic plan. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of depth of knowledge, just very briefly, and what it means?
Absolutely, and that's really important because we have students who are at different levels. So when you look at your DOK, you look at a level 1 DOK. You look at that maybe your basic question or your basic just kind of response. Then you go to a DOK level 2 where there's more conversation, more elaboration, and going into depth on a topic. You look at DOK 3 and 4, that's more independent learning, more elaboration, more kind of, say, teacher-student interaction, conferencing, and then having that DOK knowledge really mirrors what our students do on state tests in terms of looking at a question that's multiple choice, looking at say, a short answer question, looking at a paragraph, and looking at that kind of synthesis and critical thinking. That's the goal, to have a variety of DOK 1, 2, 3, 4 types of questioning strategies going on in the classroom.
So this is really easy to see when we go in classes. The who, what, when, those are lower level, and this is what we assess. One of the assessment pieces when we go in and we do instructional walkthroughs and provide support and help, and that's why it's so critical. You'll see this all the time. So I just wanted Ladora to go a little bit more in depth about depth of knowledge, pardon the pun, but to go deeper, if you will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Definitely good.
All right. Moving right along, our treasurer's report.
Some good news. Tom and I participated in the rating presentation with S&P, and while it wasn't as good of news as we had hoped for, we did maintain our AA rating.
All right.
So good.
Excellent.
That's still good.
Very good.
I just have to say, just like last time, in 2019, we have really great numbers. And so now, two times in a row, we have numbers that we, of course, believe should get us back to, I said, back to AA+. And we just can't get there for some reason. The 2-member committee that we presented to were very positive. And so we were a little hopeful, but not yet, but we will get there. I think the main issue we have is, from reading the report, is the economics of our community. So the district numbers are solid. I mean, our cash balances were good last time. They're better this time. There was concern that our district would not adapt and support us at the levy last time we were on the ballot. We proved that our community supports us and that they would generate money when we asked for it. That's another huge positive. So we just have to wait for a little more economic improvement in our area. So fingers crossed. Remember, we are compared against the whole United States, and so that's the hard part. We're compared against the Californias, and we're compared against the New York Cities, and they have a standard. So.
But AA is great. Everybody's not AA.
Excellent.
Trust me, it is.
We know
There's a
that.
lot of districts, 78% of districts want to be AA.
Yes,
for sure.
it is fantastic, but of course,
We're competitive.
we always
Yes,
want
we're
more.
high achievers, and we've been there before.
Yeah, we
Yes.
have.
That's the problem.
So we will.
So, may I ask, I'll wait till you get done.
No, if it's on this topic, go.
It is, on that topic. So if the economics of our community don't improve, we're still in the same spot.
We'll just continue to hold tight to our AA excellent rating, which will get us a very nice interest rate when we sell. So.
But we have no control over that. Never mind, carry on.
That's right, we don't.
No, we don't. So, again, I said we'll have the forecast work session next meeting on the 28th, and then on the 15th of November, we'll present it on camera. and asked the board for approval of the forecast at that time. I shared this document with you. This is a quarterly report of expenses related to each item on the strategic plan. This is the first time we've run this report because, again, we started tracking this on July 1 with all the requisitions. Terry Riesenberg, of course, did this phenomenal work. We started looking at it, and of course, we had many questions, so it'll be nice to meet with our group and go over this and see how we might adjust some of our goal objective selections that we're making in the district to make sure we have them under the correct goal and objective. But for a first attempt at this report, which is pretty intensive, as you said, that's pretty many goals and objectives.
Yeah, this is great because we talked about doing this and you've actually put it in writing. So, thank you.
So we'll continue to work towards maybe a little bit better placement of some of our expenses. So, but we're thrilled that we've got this one done. The system's working very well. Our software was able to adapt to that, and just want to make sure you had that. Your OSBA packets will be available at the next meeting. We're putting that together, so you'll have your materials for the OSBA conference, because you will need them next time because we won't see you before the conference at another meeting. So just wanted to let you know that.
I have one request. My eyes don't see very well anymore, or maybe it's not me, but can we get this, can you send this to us electronically?
I will, too.
Okay, then I can just.
I actually almost put it on 11 by 17 paper because I, too, have that problem.
I'm getting a little
yes, I'll
challenged
send this
reading.
electronically.
No, I don't even think that's going to happen. This is pretty.
And speaking of OSBA, I understand you're presenting?
I am not.
Okay.
No.
Okay. That's okay. I got it mixed up. Sorry.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
Unless you know something that we don't know.
Oh, no.
Did you see us up there?
I was going to say, are you presenting?
Are you?
No,
I'm
I
not
got
presenting.
mixed up with another Tom and another Christine. Sorry.
Christine, we better check. Did you nominate me? I nominated you.
I nominated Gina.
Well,
Okay.
Thank you, Gina, for representing.
but we do have something this Thursday, correct?
The dinner
With
for
the-
Southwest Region?
Right,
Yeah.
Southwest Region.
The OSBA
Is it-
regional
that's
dinner?
this
at
Thursday,
Garland?
right?
This Thursday, yes.
Yes,
The
okay.
banquet's coming up.
Okay. All right, thank you. Ms. Better? Mr. Superintendent?
Southwest Region Bank,
Thank you, Madam President.
November something.
So several quick hitters, and probably something that's going to take a little bit of time. But just as a reminder, there were several pieces of legislation that are a direct attack on public education, including but not limited to House Bill 290, which they call the backpacking legislation. Now, I talked to Senator Blessing earlier today. Don't know if there's a lot of steam that this is going to work, but essentially what it is, it'll give $5,550 up to $7,500 that a student choosing to go to a private school, and there's a little bit of debate about parochial, but I believe it's both, ultimately when the dust settles, that it will go into like an education savings account, if they choose to go and use a voucher. But essentially it would eliminate the voucher program and just give anybody, irrespective of finances or whatever. So even if people have great financial wherewithal, and I want to be really, really careful because I don't want to misrepresent House Bill 290, but I am going to go off just a little bit and say for any taxpayer who may not support Princeton City Schools, you want to pay careful attention to this, because you will be paying significantly more dollars to support a program that is, I believe, unconstitutional and will be rebuked pretty quickly. But if it doesn't, we want to be very careful. Chris and I did some quick numbers. Chris, what did we come up with?
It's going to be over $1 billion.
Over $1 billion
Just first
of
guess.
taxpayer dollars going to a select few, mind you, that have financial wherewithal. I can't even believe that this is coming out. You can't even believe. And one of the things that Senator Blessing said, who has always answered phone calls, always answered questions, and whether or not we've agreed, when we've had several times where we were not on the same page or in the same book. The fact of the matter, he picks up the phone, and I appreciate it, and he'll tell me, I believe, what his truth is. There's no way on earth this is going to be able to be funded. But if it is funded, guess where the money is going to come from? It will come out of public education.
Right.
Now, here's my thing. If it's something that's going to go $5,500 to $7,500 across the board for all students, and they choose where they go, I'm still opposed to it. But the reality is that that would be equitable. But that'll never happen. Princeton gets just over $1,000 per student. Now, there isn't one person that's listening or will listen who hadn't heard me say that probably 100 times. The state funding system still remains broke, and while there's great work that's been done to have it be more equitable, until they eliminate all the deducts, it's not going to happen. Some of our students who are tremendous, and you saw some of them here tonight who did such a great job presenting, but, you know, and I'm not saying them in particular, but there are students that come to us with significant need that are just learning English, that have significant need for other reasons too. But if there's a student that is an English learner, we don't get any additional money in this formula. Now, we're about 30%, and the reality is, 21%, right around there. But the reality is our students are phenomenal. We love them. We want to nurture them and grow them and want to see them achieve at the highest level possible. But yet, where kids start, they don't all start at the same place. They don't. And there was this one exercise that I saw at a conference where it was phenomenal. They lined everybody up. And there were only like 25, 26 people in the room, but they lined everybody up. And they said, take a step forward if you had mom and dad living at home. Take a step forward if dad earned over X amount of dollars. I forget. I think they said like 50,000, but everybody was a little bit older back then. And so people took a step forward, and you saw people at different starting spots. And that's the way the kids come to us. Now, the state has tried to rectify that by providing additional money with ESSER funds and so forth, saying that we know that kids economically disadvantaged need additional support. But they still haven't done that. Now, you saw unbelievable students up on this stage, AP scholars with honors, PSAT commended scholars. We're getting it done. I'm just saying just equitably fund us. And House Bill 290, if that starts getting legs, we should all be very concerned. And, you know, when we were looking at some of the voucher bills and so forth, and Chris and myself and other people spoke to our community members, I will say I failed, because I thought I was going to be able to rally a bunch of people because of the thievery that was happening. That we get $1,000, less than $1,000, and $5,500 or $7,100 at that point went out. They literally are stealing money from us. I don't care. I don't care who's listening. I don't care if it gets shared. I'm telling you, there's no way anybody can tell me that that was not anything but stealing money. You may be able to, you know, talk about it differently, but that's just semantics. So with that being said, we need to pay very careful attention to what's happening with House Bill 290. Very careful. With that being said, there's other legislation that has been passed or signed, will be signed by the governor that we're going to have to be very responsive to next year. And this is Senate Bill 1, and they have the financial literacy bill in there, which is going to require us to have a half a unit of financial literacy. And, you know, I tried these board meetings just to be brief and not get on a soapbox, but how can I not? What else? What is being taken away? Is anything being taken away? Some say no. I say it takes away exploratory opportunities for our kids. It takes away many other things. And while I agree fundamentally that we need so much more financial literacy, I agree 100% with that. But yet, nothing's being taken away, including these state tests that are ridiculous, ridiculous. And I talked to a friend of mine who's a superintendent in a very wealthy area, and I asked him this question: how many days do you prep for state testing? He said, we don't even care, we don't even look at it, whatever, because we know our kids are always going to do better than other kids that don't have the opportunities, the wealth, the family makeup, and so forth. So I'm just frustrated, as you could tell, because, again, all these mandates continue to come to us, not thinking about what we are doing. Well, how about having a mandated career class that you have to have? And you know what, by the way, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take something away. You show competency in this career class, it's going to give you another pathway to graduation. Now, I know they're trying to do that. There's a little bit more flexibility. But the reality is, yet again, another mandate comes from up above. And I do agree we need to do a better job. Kids need to know the value of money. I understand that. But there's lots of different ways we can get to that point. I'm just saying, give us whatever you want, just take some stuff away. It's like this concept that Dr. Phillips and I talk about quite a bit, that, we all have to-do lists, but we don't have stop-doing lists. We just keep growing. And if we're honest, if we keep a to-do list, we maybe accomplish 80% on a great day of a to-do list, and we start with 20% of what was left over from the day before, and we add 100% the next day. It keeps adding and adding and adding. And I remember having to-do lists. I just remember a yellow legal pad, and I would just rewrite the same thing that wasn't as high a priority. We need to stop doing stuff, like stop testing our kids to death. And no matter what anybody says, we are being responsive in doing that. You saw this iReady. You saw the data. We're doing it. And thank you for the Board of Education for not buying into the big lie. Thank you. Some really positive things now that I started negatively. I was asked to do a podcast tryout. I didn't realize it was a tryout. So late Sunday night, I was on a podcast recording in California, and we're going to see if it actually gets published by them, or if they're just going to send it to us for our own publications. But that was a really cool opportunity. Got a chance to really talk about Princeton and talk about leadership in general. So we may or may not see that, I guess. Last week was unbelievable when you look at what homecoming week, beautiful homecoming parade. So much of it is made of what happens with football, but let's be honest, we're much more than football. We're much more than sports and music, but our music department was well represented. We had all of our teams participate through the course of the week. It really was a lovely week. It is always great to win the perennial homecoming game and beat Sycamore. That was outstanding. We had a great homecoming dance at night. It really was well attended, and I talked to Principal Balmer today, who was very complimentary of the kids' behavior, and it was just incredible. We had our Athletic Hall of Fame that same night, so thanks to the Board of Education for being there. It was a really glorious evening. We had 3 individuals and a team that got in there. Our state runner-up, or state championship tennis team, which is amazing. Talking to some of those gentlemen and the coach, and it really was a very nice evening, and really appreciated them and the great work. They talked a lot about teachers and coaches and staff members who were instrumental in their life. October there's a lot going on in October in general. So I see the pretty in pink, the 4 lovely ladies in pink, and Mr. Simons, I see the pink tie representing, excellent. Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we know that's very serious. This Friday is going to be a pink out. I know we're pink. You will see me wearing pink for sure. My mom is a cancer survivor, and I know that but I know that this really permeates everybody. Everybody knows somebody. So I love the support that is shown throughout the district with that. Also, it is the end, October 15th is the end of Hispanic Heritage Month. And so there are many celebrations. And in fact, today I had the opportunity to go to Stewart Elementary School and read Biblioburo, which is a true story from Colombia. And it was about a gentleman, Luis, who loves to read, that had stacked piles all these books. And his wife said, "What are we going to do with all these books? Are we going to eat them with our rice?" That's a direct quote in the book. And he says, "No, why don't we give them away?" So they went to this great village, El Tormento, to pass out all these books. And it was amazing because on their pathway there, true story, a bandit jumped out and said, "Give me your silver." They had books and no silver. And the bandit, like, "Hey, next time, give me some silver." Right? The expectations of bandits now are like crazy. But it was a great way to kind of sort of close the month. I know we have some other activities going on, but all the schools have done activities. We certainly appreciate that. And then I would say of equal importance, we have unbelievable leaders in this district who give time and time and time again, none more so than our principals. Our principals, our assistant principals, we saw two here tonight. Many are watching or will be watching. They just give so much. And at our leadership academy today, a lot of the principals were recognized. All the building level principals were recognized. We also have other assistant principals in the district that will be recognized. Tricia Roddy and myself have gone around. We're actually publicizing, and I know this is something that the board really wanted to see, but each principal will be put out, and you will see them talk about leadership, what the role is, through our Ed Viking Diff program. We're also going to put them all together for a YouTube video, so you'll see those start rolling out. Where's Tricia Roddy? Wednesday. So Wednesday they'll start rolling out. We have 8 already filmed. We have a bunch scheduled this week, and we'll be finished. But we certainly appreciate all the great work of the principals. And just lastly, the terrible report card will be coming out soon, so you already saw some of the data. Our quality profile, which usually tells the true story, goes out before. Many of the school districts work together in conjunction. We've put it all out together. There's a new philosophy with that in terms of combating some of the insult and assault of public education. Many of those districts, Tricia, are putting those out in January. Is that correct? We will be releasing ours in a couple weeks. We are also going to be doing a state of the schools. We're trying to work out that with schedules. And we will be very proud to talk about what we've done and what we've accomplished. But we know that we have work to be done. And then just one more time, I just want to say to the Board of Education, that presentation today, do you guys remember when we first started talking about the Innovation Center?
Yes.
And there was this long conversation that we had about what does it actually mean about acceleration? What does it actually mean about, helping kids? But the young lady, to me, all of them were compelling. But the young lady who honestly and in front of everybody addressed the fact that she messed up, that she didn't do what she needed. Had it not been for the Innovation Center, right there, mic drop. But then there's more. There's a young lady who said, wait, I can graduate early? And I could start college? I could start career? I go to military? Mic drop. These are innovative practices that I'm telling you would not exist if it wasn't for your commitment. So thank you for believing in the Innovation Center. And thank you to Tanya and Libby and Mary and Kevin for hiring and Ronald for supporting it. And the list goes. John for getting our Innovation Center downstairs looks like a school. Before, it looks like a couple hallways with some offices. It looks awesome. We are so very proud of that, but you guys should be very proud because you made it happen. Thank you.
We are. So thank you. All right. Any other comments or questions before we move into executive session?
You mentioned something in Columbus, and I can't remember which House bill, but maybe you can speak to it next time, but though the state requires substitute teachers to have at least a 4-year degree, but since 2020, that law allowing districts to set their own standards, House Bill 409, I'm wondering, since that's expired, it expired at the end of last year, will the continuation of that bill, if it's passed, where we as a district can decide the education level of our subs, would that lead to inexperienced people in our classroom, or are we not running into that problem? And also, the House Committee wants, as part of that law, that House bill, to require financial literacy for every student. So I guess it's something you can look into for later.
Was
Didn't
there a
mean to drop it
question?
on you, but my question is basically, are we setting our own standards for substitute teachers, or is that not really a problem for us?
So I believe that's Senate Bill 1 that the governor has signed. There's
Yeah.
emergency action on that.
Yeah, that's the recent one,
So, yeah, that's going to be signed. So anybody, we could do what you just said and have look at qualifications and all that. Right now, it's not like it was before when everybody's knocking down the doors to sub,
Trying to sub,
right?
yeah.
So if it gets, push comes to shove, then certainly we will look at that for the benefit of our kids. But right now, it's freshly passed or signed. I think he signed it today. If it's not today, it'll be this week.
Yeah.
And it certainly would have helped if it was the summer, in the summer, so we could actually have professional development for those, people that want to be able to sub. So yeah, we would be able to establish our own criteria.
Yeah. And I guess it's too soon to tell what we do with the financial literacy for each student.
Well, we will have a course. It's
Okay.
law.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. If nothing else, I move that we go into executive session to discuss under sections 12122G1, the compensation, employment, and evaluation of public employees.
Second?
Mrs. Petter, would you call the roll?
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Dr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Weider?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland? Yes. Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Motion passes. There will be no action taken after the executive session, so we will return to dismiss or let you know when. Thank you all for who were here this evening. All right. I move that we come out of executive session.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Mrs. Petter?
Dr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Wider?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
That motion passes. And now I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
It has been moved in second. Mrs. Petter, please call
Mrs.
the roll.
Wider?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Dr. Hawkins?
Yes. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good evening.